Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yoda brothers, it's the director. Chargers fans, you guys have probably been wondering where I've been for the last week. I have been deathly ill, dudes. I think I need to go get tested. I just can't smell or taste nothing. And it's been an absolutely horrible week, but I couldn't stand not talking about the Chargers. So we're going to give it a shot today. We'll do our best. Please bear with me. I know I sound like crap, but I had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk to you guys about with the Chargers, so we're going to give it a good try today.
He's doing it. It's killing him, but he's doing it.
Now the NFL is abuzz with the trade deadline coming up on November 2nd. There are names like Deshaun Watson, Odell Beckham Jr., and Marlon Mack getting thrown around everywhere. And honestly, every season we do see a couple of really crazy trades before the deadline. And I think the Chargers might actually be in the mix this season. Now, Tom Telesco and his tenure with the Bolts, I don't think he's ever traded for somebody in the middle of the season. I know he's traded away a few players, Desmond King and stuff like that, but I don't think we've ever acquired a big name in the middle of the season. So I'm thinking that could change this year, though, because of the Chargers record. The AFC West seems to be kind of wide open, with the Kansas City Chiefs kind of falling away from what they were in years past, and the Raiders kind of ascending this kind of the team for the Chargers to beat right now. And honestly, with what Brandon Staley has been doing with this team, so I think the Chargers definitely are in play to make some moves before November 2nd. So before we do get started, question for you guys in the comment section below: who do you guys hope the Chargers trade for to help this team before the November 2nd deadline? Now, before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. Will the Chargers make a trade before the November 2nd deadline? Well, let's just jump right into this, man. Brandon Staley, if you guys remember, I think it was just before the bye week, in an interview, he said that they would be looking into acquisitions, okay? And they did actually do so in signing Andre Roberts from the Houston Texans that they had just recently dropped. And Andre Roberts, if you guys don't know, is a kick return specialist, okay? And this guy's actually really, really good, multiple Pro Bowler, averages around 30 yards per return. And at this point, I think the Chargers average somewhere around like 16 yards per return. So he kind of stuck to his guns there. He kept his promise in saying that the Chargers are looking at different position groups and would make acquisitions if necessary. He started with Andre Roberts. So out of the mouth of Brandon Staley and into action with the Chargers, definitely a good sign for the Chargers to at least make one more move in order to address other positions of need, which of course the Chargers do have a couple of glaring holes right now. At I would say the biggest two are defensive tackle and kicker. So hopefully that's something. We'll address that in just a minute as well. Another big reason I think the Chargers should definitely make a move this season is because of this right here. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. The Chargers, are projected to receive 4 compensatory picks in 2022. This is coming off of the NFL.com website, guys. They have a whole bunch of teams projected for different picks. I think the Chargers are second in the league in terms of projected picks at 4, which is insane. And of course, this is because we lost players like Feeney, Hunter Henry, Jenkins, Perriman, Tevy, and Tyrod Taylor. And this is really good news for the Chargers because this could definitely be converted into ammunition in order to acquire a nice player in order to help the team right now. And some people would be like, well, Director, we want to make sure we use those picks maybe to help our special teams, etc., etc. And yes, that is true. Those late round picks can be valuable in terms of special teams, but there have been a couple of players in recent history for the Chargers that we were having really big and high hopes for in terms of special team contribution that just didn't work out. KJ Hill, Joe Reed, I think myself included, very excited. I remember even KJ Hill, I was like, man, what a steal in the draft. I can't believe he fell all the way to 7, and recently the Chargers just cut him to make room for Andre Roberts. So I think this right here is pretty important in the likeliness for the Chargers to go ahead and try and make a trade happen, because again, the Chargers' recent history with late round picks isn't spectacular. Why not use those picks for ammunition to target trades and players that will actually have an impact, an immediate impact on the Chargers roster? If they decided to trade 3 out of the 4 compensatory picks, that would be fine by me, because I think the Chargers can make much better use of those picks, especially in combination with the kind of salary cap that they've got going for them in 2022. I think that'd be a very, very smart move. Now, there are some rumors concerning the Chargers and a potential trade that we're going to go over right now as well. Of course, these are some that I've already covered, but we're going to go over them once again. Akeem Hicks, this has definitely been the strongest connection to the Chargers as far as a potential trade, and you guys already know the Chargers inquired about him this offseason. I think Brandon Staley wanted to try and get him with the Chargers to help, usher in this new scheme fit, and Brandon Staley, he loves Akeem Hicks, and I think honestly a player like Akeem would definitely be a huge boost to the Chargers run defense, an area for the team that needs the most help right now. I would say number one need on the team right now is some reinforcements in that run defense, and Akeem Hicks is one of the best in the league when it comes to that kind of play. But we do have to keep in mind that I think even right now he's being sat out for a groin injury, so that's something to monitor. But maybe, hey, that could help lower his costs as far as compensation. I've seen some Bears fans not want to do this, and I completely get it, but the Bears are not in a really good situation right now. Akeem Hicks is going to be a free agent next season. I just think it makes a lot of sense for the Bears team, and honestly, given a lot of those factors, I don't think he's going to be quite as high as what Bear fans are hoping for. I think some of them were hoping for like a 3rd-round pick. He's a bit older, he's injured, he's a contract year. I'm thinking maybe the Chargers can get him after maybe like a 5th-round pick, which honestly doesn't sound too bad for Chargers fans. Next up, another rumor that Chargers fans have been reading about all week long, and this is one that honestly got me really excited. Younghoe Koo reunited with the Bolts. Now, I know some Chargers fans, I've been reading that they're not super stoked on the idea of giving away capital for a player that we ultimately cut at one point, right? But you got to take a look at what's happened to Younghoe Koo in the time that he has had with the Atlanta Falcons. He's definitely one of the best kickers in the league, if not the best. Obviously not with the Ravens kicker running around, but still, Younghoe Koo is such a good player in the NFL right now. One of the biggest regrets for the Chargers, I have to imagine. And this trade was proposed, I think, by an ESPN analyst. Okay, they're saying that the Chargers can go after him by trading away Trey Pipkins and a 2022 5th-round pick for Younghoe Koo. And honestly, again, this would be such a good idea if you're the Chargers. I know some Chargers fans aren't about it. I am. The Falcons don't have the cap to re-sign him next year. He's probably going to be getting somewhere above $5 million a season, which he definitely deserves. And again, the Chargers certainly could afford that at this point with their cap situation. So I would do this in a heartbeat. I think Koo means points, and I think it means securability and comfort in bringing him out on the field when we need to. Extra points no longer a concern, and then again, points mean wins. And I think ultimately this does shift what you can do on offense. The Chargers have really been avoiding using Vizcaino by going for 2 and 4th down, just because their comfort level with Vizcaino is certainly not there right now. So Younghoe Koo, I think it's a great idea, and I would certainly not be mad if they decided to trade one of their extra 5th-round picks for one of the best kickers in the league. Now, those are the 2 biggest rumors that I've been hearing Let me know if you guys have heard anything else in the internet verse. But there are some other potential trade targets that the Chargers can be going after. And some of these, a lot of these, most of these we haven't gone over before, but we are going to start with one that we have talked about. Now, Brandon Cooks, the Texans have been rumored to be massive sellers this season when it comes to the November 2nd trade deadline, okay? And Brandon Cooks is probably going to be on the trade block, which a lot of teams are going to be trying to acquire for. I know there's a lot of teams that could use his talents. I think there's been rumors that Green Bay might actually go after him. I mean, honestly, him with Aaron Rodgers sounds pretty spectacular to me. But I think the Chargers should definitely take a look at him as well because, again, of the quarterback upside in Los Angeles. Same as in Green Bay, I think you got to apply the same thing in Los Angeles with Justin Herbert, which in turn not only unlocks, huge potential for Brandon Cooks and what he can do, but also with Justin Herbert. All of a sudden you're looking at, an opportunity for Justin Herbert to really utilize that big arm that we saw a lot of in 2022. Those H-bombs that we see in the chat all the time, they're inspired by those huge plays that we saw last season with Tyron Johnson and Jalen Guyton, which we've not seen a lot of this season. And I think in order to unlock that potential, you're going to want to get a player like Brandon Cooks, who's only 28 years old. He might carry a higher asking price as far as his trade compensation, maybe like a third and change. But still, I think it would definitely be worth it for the Chargers to pursue this because, again, when you stretch the field like that, you've got a burner like that in combination with the quarterback like Justin Herbert. Defenses really have to respect that, and that's going to open up a lot of opportunities underneath for the Chargers to attack with their other weapons like Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. So, Brandon Cooks, I think that's a great idea. Next up, we got O.J. Howard. His name's been floating around a little bit as well. I love this idea because O.J. Howard really hasn't lived up to his expectations in Tampa Bay, and I think a lot of that had to do with the quarterback play for a while. Obviously not now, but back in the day with Jameis Winston. Winston was out there tossing everywhere, right? Except for O.J. Howard's way a lot of the time. And there's been a lot of competition in Tampa Bay at the tight end position. The reason I say, Tom Brady, definitely not the problem. Well, it's not Tom Brady, it's Rob Gronkowski that they brought in as well. And there's been too many cooks in the kitchen as far as tight end, and O.J. Howard really hasn't had the opportunity to be a featured tight end one for his team. And I think I still see a lot of potential. When he was drafted, he was one of those freakish athletes that we thought was going to, catapult himself into superstardom in the NFL. He just hasn't had that opportunity. So I like what his potential cost would be as well. I'm thinking he would likely cost a late round pick, maybe a couple late round picks. He would provide an immediate answer at tight end post Jared Cook to this team, and it would give him a nice solid, half of a season to get familiar with the Chargers and their offensive scheme before being converted into the tight end one for the Chargers in 2022. And again, he's the kind of player that really unlocks the potential of a Justin Herbert with his athleticism. I think we've seen a lot of that with Jared Cook. Jared Cook is older, but he's definitely fast for a tight end. I think O.J. Howard offers the same kind of upside, and honestly, if you can get a chemistry brewing between him and Justin Herbert this season, I see a lot of potential for him to be a good weapon for the Chargers in the future. And again, he's pretty young, so I love the idea of O.J. Howard. Next up, we've got Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard, man, there's been a lot of talk about about him being traded this offseason, and he might be a little bit more expensive, maybe like a fourth rounder and change, right? But this is something the Chargers fans have been asking for a minute. A premium swing tackle. Dillard plays left tackle, I think, for the Eagles, but can definitely play both sides, and that's a rare thing that NFL teams certainly look for in players like Dillard. And honestly, this provides stability post Brian Bulaga. I think the Chargers at this point are hoping that Bulaga comes back sooner than later, and maybe I think that he might show a return later in the season. But what happens after that? What if we grabbed Andre Dillard as the replacement for Bulaga, or hell, just a premium again backup swing tackle, something like that? I think it provides a lot of valuable depth at the very base level, but I think he could start for the Chargers right away in lieu of Bulaga's absence, and then have a nice backup for Bulaga when he returns. And then if he does get cut, if Bulaga gets cut next season, I think Dillard could step into that role right away at right tackle. So I don't know. He's been a hot name on the trade market, and I think that the Chargers definitely should at least look into him. Next up, we've got we got Ryan Kerrigan. That brain of mine. We're doing our best today, man. Ryan Kerrigan, I think currently a Philadelphia Eagle. One of the best edge rushers over the last decade, right? He was such a beast with Washington, man. And I think, he's on the older side. He would be more of a short-term answer. But one big thing that's been busting my heart this season, man, is watching Joey Bosa continue to get double and triple teamed. I really want to see Bosa, live up to that potential, and he's certainly got the talent. He's certainly got, he's certainly one of the best edge defenders in the league, but he just sees a lot of resources thrown against stopping him. So I think Ryan Kerrigan on the opposite side in this new scheme with Brandon Staley might be an awesome fit for the Chargers. He'd be very, very cheap, both on sides of, compensation and salary cap. I think 7th rounder you can get him for. He's going to cost about $500,000 against the cap. He'd be a great short-term answer. If he plays really well this season, maybe you can extend him for another year. I don't know. I think he's still a very capable pass rusher, and he certainly fits the style of play that Brandon Staley likes to use in his scheme. So I like Ryan Kerrigan, man. I think he could be pretty good. Now, Zach Cunningham. This is the guy I was going to say before. Zach Cunningham, the next man up here. Middle linebacker for the Texans. We know the Texans are cleaning house, with Deshaun Watson likely on his way out very soon. I think pretty much everything's on the table as far as trades for the Texans. They're going to try and get as much draft capital as possible and start fresh in Houston. Now, Zach Cunningham, I think he's not especially old, and he's an insane tackler. Okay, the Chargers right now need depth at middle linebacker with Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquill both injured. I think immediately one of those immediate needs that the Chargers need for this season has been middle linebackers, emerged as middle linebacker. I thought the Chargers had some crazy good depth, and unfortunately that's where 2 of our biggest injuries has occurred this season, has been at middle linebacker. So I think the Chargers, honestly, this wouldn't be a bad trade to try to pursue. I don't think he'd be extremely expensive, and I think Zach Cunningham would provide some awesome depth even in the return of Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquill, and he honestly provides exactly what the Chargers would need, somebody that's a great tackler and that could help against that run a little bit too. So I like Zach Cunningham. I think it would be a solid choice right there. And then lastly, we've got Marlon Mack, which Mack I think has been most connected in terms of trade to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I can see him being a pretty good player there. So maybe, if anything, we try and grab him so that the Chiefs can't get him. But still, I think he would be a pretty cheap trade too. I think around a 6th round pick. Running backs in this league definitely aren't valued like they used to be, but at the same time, I think he could offer a lot for the Chargers. The Chargers, a great 1-2 punch with Austin Eckler. And we're not trying to say that we're taking anything away from Austin Eckler. I think that Eckler would still be the number 1 back on this roster, by a wide margin. But the best version of Austin Eckler that we've seen in recent years was when he was playing with Melvin Gordon. Just that 1-2 punch kept things fresh. They're utilized a little bit differently. I think, Marlon Mack would not be a bad idea to combine with him there. Marlon Mack, of course, 6 feet tall, a little bit bigger. I think that honestly that combination would remind me a little bit of the days of Gordon and Eckler on the same squad. So if the Chargers do decide to pursue a running back, though, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a lesser known name. If last season, I can't even remember his name, the man that went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, if he could thrive in the Chargers offense, I think any big bruiser back could as well. So who knows what the Chargers decide to do. So to wrap this video up, guys, what likely happens this offseason, or sorry, this before the November 2nd trade deadline? I think the Chargers make a move or two. They've already made one move with Andre Roberts, a great move. I think Chargers fans don't understand the gravity of how much that's going to help the Chargers not starting inside the 20 every single drive. But I do think they make additional move here. I think they have to. I think their circumstance dictates that action be taken in the direction of filling the holes they have on the roster. And honestly, again, if I had to choose one position to address right now, it would be defensive tackle and helping that run defense. Akeem Hicks would be a dream. But outside of that, I think kicker, the Younghoe Koo trade gets me very excited. The idea of that trade gets me very excited because, you know, points matter big time. It would definitely change the entire way the offense is ran, or at least the risk and reward scenarios we've seen in recent weeks, where the Chargers can feel confident in field goals, even, you know, beyond the 40-yard line, which is pretty crazy to me. So I think kicker and defensive tackle are certainly the moves that the Chargers should maybe take a look at this offseason. But what would likely happen too is, instead of maybe these huge names like Younghoe Koo and Akeem Hicks, the Chargers likely target lesser known names with immediate upside. We've seen this in this offseason with Matt Filer, you know, and these lesser known names that came in and made a huge impact. And I think the Chargers can do so again in this November 2nd trade deadline. So let me know what you guys think happens. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. I'll try and come back as often as I can. I think talking Chargers makes me feel a little bit better. It's been a crazy week of isolation. I decided not to go anywhere, just in terms of not getting anybody sick. But now that I'm suspecting that it's something a little bit more serious, we're going to definitely be isolated until we can get over this thing. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'm really hoping that we can shake it before this weekend so that we can enjoy the live stream as always, because this will be a big game versus the New England Patriots, and I think it'll be a fun one for all of us to spectate again. So we'll work on getting better, and we'll come back most likely again on Wednesday with another video, okay? So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty.